Hey everyone, I'm Dustin, CEO of 6threezero. Today we're going to assemble the relaxed body electric tricycle. Okay, so the box that arrives, you can tell, is actually quite large. And I'll go ahead and give you the measurements here. It is 69 inches long by 34 inches wide. And the box itself is 25.5 inches tall. And it weighs approximately 100 pounds. So if you can be there at the time of delivery, you can have them drop it wherever you'd like. It is possible to drag it though. You do have handles here where you can move it around. All right, now we're gonna get into opening it up and I'll bring you in for a closer look so you can see how everything arrives. All right, let's open it up. So it is double boxed, which is nice. It ensures that nothing gets damaged in transit. All right, let's go ahead and take this out. If you like to, you can utilize this as a place to put some stuff on the ground. All right, so you can tell just by looking in the top here. Let me go ahead and just get that down there. You can tell by looking at the top here, it comes pretty much fully assembled. There is obviously some assembly required, but for the most part, comes fairly assembled. So we're just gonna start snipping all of the zip ties. Now, there is quite a few zip ties here. So make sure you find all of them before moving on to the next step. And you can go ahead and take all these boxes out, and I'm just gonna set them aside and we will open those up in a second. Okay. Now this large box right here is your rear basket. And let's go ahead and pull that out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get our front wheel out and set this off to the side here. Okay, all right, so now, and our seat as well. Okay. Now from here, you can see mostly everything right here is assembled. So what I'm gonna do is take this plastic piece out of the stem here and, oh, cut my final zip tie right here. And these are just snips. You can also use a box cutter or some really good scissors. If you use scissors, they've got to be pretty strong and sharp. All right, so I'm gonna take the handlebars, and this is just a plastic cap as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and insert these in like so. So for the handlebars, this cord should be in front like this, and the stem should be facing that way. Now, from there, I am going to make 2 slits on the corner of the box here in the front. Now, if you should need the box to return it or for whatever else, this is a good way to do this. So you just slit right here on the edge, and we're gonna turn this into a little garage door so we can roll the bike out. And in the case where you may have to reuse the box, then you could just tape the edges here to seal it back up. Okay, so I have my box cutter, and we're gonna come right here and cut up. Now there are 2 boxes, so you gotta get through both of them. Okay. There we go. All right. Okay, now we've created our garage door here. And from here, just go ahead and roll the trike out. And you can just set that down on the ground like so. And from here, I'm gonna put all my garbage in. Oh. Got some serious winds here today in California. All right, now you got one more box right here. I'm gonna set that to the side. Just do a once over in the box. You can lift this up just to ensure there's nothing else in here. And then don't worry, we'll get all that garbage here before we're done. All right, let's go through each of our boxes here. Okay, so this one is our battery, and we can set that aside. On the back side of the battery, the keys will be taped in here, so just leave that to the side for now. And let's go ahead and open up this box. Okay. So you have your manuals, a toolkit, brackets for your fenders on the basket. This is a cap and a plug for the stem. And this is your charger. So put all that to the side. And then finally right here is your basket. Go ahead and get this out. Okay. Now in here as well will be the fenders, the rear and front fenders with the brackets. So now if you can find a nice little workspace like this to set everything out, it is really helpful. All right. Okay, so we're gonna start with getting our front wheel installed because that's gonna make everything easier. So I'm just gonna take off some of this packaging. All right. Now you can also leave packaging on throughout the assembly process if you like. Sometimes it's better just to prevent, scratching the frame, things like that. Sometimes it makes it easier to remove certain parts. Okay. Now, if you can see right here, it's going to come with this metal axle in here. This is just packaging, and that's just to ensure the axle doesn't bend in transportation. Okay, now when you look at the tire, you're gonna put, obviously, the rotor has to go on the side of the disc. Now let me also look. Yeah, okay. All right. So you've got a washer and a nut, and those are both gonna go on the outside of the fork here. So we're gonna lift up. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Okay, then you're going to insert. Now, let me see here. All right, so this may be, I don't know if you could come around to this side. Okay, I'm going to lift this out really quick here. Okay, so if you see here inside, you have brake pads, and your rotor, this is your rotor, has to go inside the pads in order to slide the wheel on. So once you get the rotor in there, then you want to slide the wheel down and onto your axles. And from there, we'll go ahead and I'm just going to hand tighten these bolts. Okay. And now from there, the nice thing is that we've got the bike on all three wheels. All right, now we're going to move on to installing our front fender. I pulled it out of the packaging. The front fender will already have the bracket on like so. I am going to tighten this a little bit just to see if we can't get it a little bit tighter. So I'm taking my Phillips head screwdriver here And go ahead and tighten that down. All right, perfect. So now that's just gonna be a little bit more secure. Okay, now up here, there's gonna be a bolt already in the frame, and you're gonna have 2 washers. I'm gonna put one towards the front head of the bolt, and then we have another washer and the lock nut right here. So I'm gonna set that down just for a second. And then you have your light here as well. So the light is zip tied onto this cable. We wanna get that off of there. So I'm just gonna snip that off, okay? Like so. All right, so now your light can move freely. This is the mounting piece. You wanna get it so it's gonna be at a good angle and it comes loose. So that's gonna require our 4mm Allen key and let's see, I think our 8mm ratchet. And then we're gonna come in and tighten that down. And again, you wanna get it at a good angle so the light can be angled at the correct way. Okay. Now we can tighten that more once it's bolted on, but you wanna get it generally in a good position. All right, now I'm gonna come in with my fender from the back. All right, and okay, I'm gonna bring the tab in front of the fork, and then I'm gonna put my light behind, like so. Okay, so then I'm gonna come up here. You're gonna feed this bolt in. Now, one caveat is the bolt is really tight inside of the light, okay? So, can be a little cumbersome getting it in like that, all right? And then we're gonna push it through, okay? Now from there, we will come in and put our washer and our lock nut on. All right, now this can also adjust up and down. All right, now from here, I'm gonna come down to the fender bolts, which are on the frame already, with your 4mm Allen key. I'm gonna take these out. And again, I'm not tightening the bolt with the light all the way yet. I'm getting everything in loosely so we can find the right positions. And again, I'm not going to tighten this all the way down, just get it pretty snug. And then I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. All right, so now we're gonna turn our light up, and you wanna get this tab up as high as possible. This may be a 2-person job. Somebody holds the fender up, put your 4mm Allen key, and then this is a 10mm ratchet. Come back here and tighten the bolt, and just keep cranking that down. Let's go ahead and see. Still loose, okay. I actually like to use the Allen key to tighten, but you gotta kind of put pressure on the fender to keep it up while you're tightening. Okay, there we go. Now we've got good pressure and it's tight. All right, and perfect. Now this is just to point out, this is a common area of possible noise making. If you don't have the fender aligned perfectly, you can just shift it as needed. And now our light is perfectly lined up. And from there, let's come back down to our brackets down here and let's give those a final tighten. You don't need to crank these, just to the point where you can't turn it anymore with a little bit of pressure. Now for the front wheel, we can come back here. This is a 15 millimeter and just go ahead and get these tight. Now again, these you want to get relatively tight. So give it some good force, and then when you can't move it anymore, that'll be good. Okay, there we go. Now we have our front fender installed and our front wheel. From here, we can move up to our handlebars, all right? All right, now you can, we can unpackage our display if you like. I'm gonna leave that clear cover on there. Okay, so inside the box, you got this cap piece as a plug and this cap piece. So this cap piece actually goes on right here on top of the headset hardware, and it just sits in there, and then from there you insert your stem in, and this is just truly a decorative piece. Now this is a 6 millimeter, and so from here you can raise and lower these handlebars as you see fit. There is an indicating line on here. If you see right there, that's as high as the recommended height. So get that line kind of covered up. Come in here with your 6 millimeter and start to tighten this down. All right, and then I like to get it a little bit tight so I can still move it, but where it's got some restriction, that helps me line it up. And you want to center this on the wheel. And then from there, start to tighten this down. Now this is a very important screw. So you definitely want to get this to the point where you tighten it and it's difficult to move. So then you have this plug here, and this is again just a decorative piece, and you just pop that in there, covers the hole up, makes it look nice. Now you've got 2 bolts up here that come pre-tightened from the factory. These are going to be your adjustment points for the tilt of the handlebars. So you're just going to loosen those. Like so. Okay. Come in. And again, you can always come back. This is something you're probably going to play around with until you find, you know, what works good for you. So you may not want to like really tighten these down all the way while you're building the bike, or you may just want to leave them. I kind of know I like this sort of angle, but these are the kind of bolts you may be tightening and loosening the first couple rides till you figure out the angle that you prefer. All right, I removed the packaging from the seat, and you know, this comes pre-installed with the seat post, but I want to show you something, which is there's a bolt under here, which is a 6 millimeter Allen key, and it has the ability for you to tilt the seat up or down so you can find the ideal angle that you like when you're out riding. So, you know, again, this is a kind of bolt that you may adjust a few times your first few rides till you find the tilt that you like best. Everybody likes it differently, to be honest. The other thing I want to point out on this quick release, if you can come in a little closer here, is there's actually an Allen key slot right here. And this is very important to getting your quick release as tight as you need it. So what you would do is you come in here with your 5 millimeter Allen key, and you're going to start to tighten that down. Okay. Now it's going to get harder to clamp that as you do that. So if it gets too hard, you may want to back it off a little bit, but tightening the seat clamp should be, you know, you should leave a little imprint in your hand that lasts for a few seconds. So there you go. You can get that nice and tight. Now, if the seat still moves, it's not right now, unclamp it, tighten it a little more, and then reclamp it. Okay. Now we're gonna, I'm just gonna put the battery on to get it out of the way. So take your keys off, and really easy here. You're gonna put this on. You have to insert, if you see right here, there's sort of two or one major slide-in point here, and it's located right here. So you actually want to put the battery in and get that bottom piece just over. Okay, and then once it's in there, you can go ahead and slide it down. And it clicks in. Okay, I'm just gonna tape these back to my battery here for time being so I don't lose them. Okay, now we are going to move on to our basket. All right, so with your basket comes two fenders that will attach to the basket. And if you see here, bolts are going to come on the frame for where the fenders will attach to, okay? So first step, what we're going to do is attach.
Recording.
All right, now we're going to install our fenders, and you're going to locate the brackets that came in the little baggie. And there's also going to be screws. I removed them on this side, but on this side, you'll see that screws come in the basket. And those are going to be used for mounting your brackets here. So the shorter part is going to go on like this. So there's two bolts for that. So you're going to take your 4mm Allen key, and we're going to come in here, and we are going to tighten this down. Now just match the bracket angle with the angle of the bracket welded to the basket, right? So those should just be lined up. Tighten your bolt down, and then I'll come back with my other one and do the same thing. You may have to just move the bracket around a little bit to ensure you can get the threading in there of the second bolt. And then once you do, go ahead and tighten it all the way down. And we're just going to repeat that process on all four brackets and fender spots. Okay, so I've fully tightened down all these brackets. And now we're going to come in here and put our fenders on, and take my lock nut and my washer, come underneath here, and just get that hand tight. And then I'll just repeat the process on this. Okay, now I want to show you one thing, which is you can see here, you can slide this fender, right? So when you put the basket down on top here, you're going to be able to obviously be able to move this side to side, okay? So you've got a couple options here. One is you can leave this loose and mount your basket and tighten these once it's on, but I really don't like that idea. I want to get these tight personally before I put it on. So I just kind of line my basket up. I see where the screw holes are, and then you can find the right location, I'm just gonna go for basically putting these directly in the middle of the sliding area. So I'm gonna pull it off again. Okay. And now this is a 3mm Allen key and an 8mm socket for the bolt underneath here. And we'll just come in and we will tighten these on. And again, just get that lined up right in the center there. A little bit off there. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, to be honest with you. Just as long as you have the fender positioned in a way that when it's on, it's not rubbing on the tire. That's the most important thing, okay? So... also, when you're tightening these, just be careful not to strip out the Allen key. Okay, so I got it kind of tight there. So I like it to be a little tight while I adjust it. That's a little too tight. So let me just come back here and loosen that. Okay, that should be good. And then from there we go. And tighten that down. All right. Okay, now we have it locked in, and I'm just going to repeat the process on the other side, and then we'll get ready to bolt the basket on. Okay, now that we have our fenders both bolted on here, we're gonna go ahead and remove all 4 of these bolts that come on the frame. And there's a washer and a bolt with a washer as well, and the lock nut. And then we're just gonna go ahead and set those down. And once we get all 4 of these out, we will rest our basket on top, line them up, and tighten these down. All right, so now you're gonna set your basket down, and if you can look down here, there are the holes in the basket that you wanna line up with the holes of your frame. And then you are going to insert your bolt through, and it's a good idea just to get all 4 of these through before you start tightening any of the nuts on. There we go. Now, I also want to point out the fenders, okay? So you can see I got the fenders to line up pretty good by putting these in the middle. You can always adjust those later if you want. But I think the strategy of putting in the middle works just fine. All right, now I'm gonna take my washer and my lock nut, and I'm gonna come under, that bolt is gonna pop out under the frame, and I'm going to just hand tighten that on, and then we'll take you in through a close-up underneath of where I get the ratchet. Okay, so this is the bottom of the nut right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and put my 10mm here and use my 4mm Allen key on top, and we're gonna tighten all the bolts down. Okay, so come on here with your 4mm, and all these Allen key sizes are actually provided in your toolkit as well. And you just put your wrench down there, and we're gonna tighten all 4 bolts. You wanna get these pretty tight, obviously, to keep the basket on, but you don't need to over tighten. There, that's getting difficult for me to tighten. So that one's good, and I'm just gonna repeat the process on all 4. Okay, a few things I wanna point out is your brakes and your gears will come pre-tuned from the factory. So the brakes and the gears should work. Your shifter for the gears is located up here, and you shift it by pressing this button to shift up and this to shift down. Now, it's important when you shift the gears on the bicycle that you're moving. You don't want to shift these while you're stationary. That could cause harm to the chain and the derailleur. So again, should be pre-tuned. You should be able to shift into all the gears, and the brakes should be pre-tuned as well. If you do feel that they are off and they need adjustment, we do have other reference videos for adjusting the gears and the mechanical disc brakes. If you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, we do recommend taking it to a professional. Now, for the air on the tires as well, I wanted to point out that the pressure that you should fill the tires is located on the sidewall here. And you can see right here, it says 40 PSI. Now, the more pressure you put in, it's gonna be a stiffer ride, but it is gonna roll better. Less air pressure will be a softer ride, absorb more of the shock. So you can use the tires as a shock absorbing feature on the bikes, depending on the air pressure that you put in. Now, just make sure the first time, if you do put air, these actually have quite a bit of air, that the tire stays nicely in the rim when inflating. All right, now let's just walk through generally how to operate the trike. Now, on the battery here, there's actually a power button. If you want to come over to this side, and your power button's located right here. So you're going to press and hold, and then it's going to illuminate in a pale blue color. It also may be a green color, it just depends. Then when that is on, you can come up here and power on your display. Now, other thing I want to point out is with your keys. The keys are used to lock the battery onto the bike. They are not necessary to turn the battery on so things operate. Now, if you see here as well, we're getting an error message. That's because I have the parking brake engaged right here. If I release that, now it'll operate. Because when you pull the brakes, it disengages the motor from working. So to operate your parking brake, you pull the lever and you push this in and release the lever, and it keeps the brake locked in, and you have two parking brakes. To release, you simply just pull, pop it out, let the brake go. Your power button is right here. You hold that in for about 2 seconds and release, and your display will power on. These are your assistance levels right here. You will press those up and down, and your assistance level is located right here where it says PAS. So that can go up to level 5. Now, you can change your pedal assist levels without moving. That's fine. You can also change them while you're moving. Up here is your battery life. Right here is your odometer and your miles per hour. One thing I also want to point out about the battery life. This type of battery sensor will change if you go on flat ground or hills. So it's starting to calibrate the energy you have left for the battery if you continue riding at the type of riding you're doing in that current moment. So as you start to climb hills, you may see this go down, and as you get to flat ground, you may see it to go back up. So it's calibrating based on your output and the type of riding you're doing on how much battery it has left. It's estimating for you. Now, over on your right hand here is your throttle. To engage the throttle, you twist back towards you. Now, again, I have the brakes on, so it's disengaged. You can also put this in 0 so it won't engage. So you twist back and the trike will move. This is your kill switch for the throttle. So if it's popped out, the throttle will not work. You have to press it in for the throttle to work. In addition to that, you have your front light. To engage your front light, you press and hold the plus symbol, and then the light will turn on in the front here. You can see right here. You can see it on my hand. And then just as simple as pressing and hold to remove it. Now, there are some more in-depth configurations you can do. We can post that in another video detailing the M5 display, but you don't really need those. You can change this to different miles per hour or to kilometers an hour if you so choose. You can change the mileage to kilometers as well. Okay, I just want to review the charging as well. It's very easy. So your charger is going to come in the box, and you're going to plug this cord into the charger, And your charging port is located on this side. If you want to come over on the other side, right here, you lift that up and then you just plug this in. And let's see, like so. And then you plug it into your home outlet. You can either leave the battery on the e-bike while it charges, or you can remove the battery to charge it as well. If you drain the battery down to very low, it's going to take a good 6 to 8 hours to get a full charge for the battery. Now, you never want to drain the battery completely. So when you start to get down to 2-3 bars, at that point, it's really ideal to charge it. If you ever were to drain it down to 0, lithium-ion batteries, there's a possibility that they don't come back to life. So it's best for prolonging the livelihood of the battery to charge it before it gets down to 0. That's more or less how to operate it. I've also done a lot of other videos of me riding the Relax Body if you want to see me out using it and how it performs. And if you have any other questions at all, please reach out to us, the team at sixthreezero.com, or call us 310-982-2877. And again, thanks for sticking around. And don't forget, it's your journey or experience. Enjoy the ride.